Hoi hoi. I'm gonna try and get through this as best as I can because um, still sick, still this obnoxious cough, um, metastasizing into God knows what. But we move forward. Um, so, couple things to talk about today. Um, First of all, I wanted to just mention something I saw today. In particular, the Sean King and Ben Dixon, two very uh, well known uh, personalities on the left, the activists, media, independent media. Um, I don't know how to explain, but yeah, activists in the case of Sean King, activists in the case of Ben Dixon, works in independent media. They're starting a new outlet called the North Star, actually based on Frederick Douglass's. The original North Star was by Frederick Douglass. So I'll touch on this in a little bit, but this is a good thing. This is excellent, and that should be supported. Um, Things like this need to happen a lot more. Um, Quick note on the election that's coming up. I'm pretty much, I've said in prior videos my feelings. I don't really want to rehash that. Um, in this case, we have right now a unified fascist Republican government that is aiming to that will be aiming to shut down protesters, shut down dissent, and aiming to go after all the vulnerable populations. So you got to vote Democrat right now. That's all I'll say on that. I look, other than saying I look very, very much forward to when this motherfucking election is over and we can move to a new phase because I'm tired of it. It has to be done. It is necessary, but and hopefully there will be good outcomes out of it. But I'm ready to move to the next phase. Start strategizing for the next couple of years, and I'm really excited about that a lot more than what has to be done now. And that's where really you can put together some things that will actually have tangible difference, not just being on the defensive, but going on the offensive. So, and hopefully being able to move to a point where it doesn't even have to be like this, or you have to vote for the least bad option. It'll be nice to get to that point that it's not required, that we can, vote for people who can be open about, supporting policies that help the poor, open about being anti-capitalist, open about supporting socialism. That would be a very good thing, and that's a short-term goal we could work towards. Because it just, this is not working. But we'll do what we have to do now. Now, how do you get there? I am only one man. I have, some opinions on it I'll talk about, but I certainly don't have all the answers, and I'm certainly not even an expert. I'm absolutely a novice, and I have a lot to learn, and I have a lot, I have to, drive myself to these things too. But one thing actually comes out with the announcement of the North Star by King and Dixon. This is good stuff. This is stuff we need. For too long, the media narrative, the what's out there in the established outlets, in the established political leadership is going to be what we've seen, kind of a very mild rebuke to the Republicans, but essentially defending the system at large, defending the system of white supremacy, defending the system of capitalism. And outlets like this, if they can catch fire, will mitigate the issues of, the corporate media structure not talking about what's important, not talking about climate change and the fact that we are nearing points of no return. Ignoring the science on that, we need to talk about, stop always parroting the police point of view when it comes to police violence against minorities. We need to be able to talk about these and phrase them when it comes to foreign policy. I mean, just to rehash again, what the Canadian Broadcast Corporation putting out tweets saying, basically asking, is the newly elected fascist leader of Brazil, is he going to be good for business, good for Canadian businesses? Like, this is what we're dealing with, and as long as these issues are ignored or phrased in a way to make it sound, for some reason, like neutral, it's not going to work, because people will, we're fighting a wall of people who cannot get past that point because their whole lives they've been told things go one way, and they've been told because they turn on TV and that's what it says. That's what their leaders say. So the more of these publications, the more of these media outlets that will go against that, will talk about issues that are forgotten, intentionally or not. We'll talk about, issues that are critical, but we ignore, and get away from the whole idea of what's in the news now, which is essentially entertainment, which essentially follow Trump around and see what he does next. So these things are important, hopefully, and education. So that mass media comes in line, something I've talked a little bit about, just the educating. So this will be one area, and as people get education, that will enable them to break through that wall, and also it will enable them to not become, hopefully, it's again part of the answer, not the whole thing. If I had the whole answer, I wouldn't be in here doing this video right now. Probably be somewhere else. But that will enable not only that, but people to understand how royally they're getting screwed, and thus go out into the streets instead of being relatively comfortable. I don't feel like breaking the rules. I don't feel like participating in mass civil disobedience, mass direct action. That's hard shit. Even I'm guilty of that. I'm stuck working during the days. But if a bunch of people see it and coordinate, go out at the same time, there's a sense of protection you will feel. There's a sense of confirmation that you will have. And that's where it's got to be. The strength will be in our numbers. Not saying you have to get 50 or 60 or 70%, but you have to get enough people. And not just for a single large protest, but for a sustained action. All right? So does that mean everyone has to get arrested? No, but these sustained organized actions will have an effect. They can have an effect, as we've seen in isolated cases such as West Virginia, as we've seen in Oklahoma. So this is what we got to do. And oftentimes, right now, the situation has to get to a point that's so bad that most people won't get there. So we got to raise the bar, and part of that will be education, will be informing, will be coordinating and collaborating. So these are all really important things that we have to think about. And I just wanted to throw it out. Obviously, there's an election coming up. I'm going canvassing too and the like. So not trying to discount that, but I'm honestly at the point where I'm tired of talking about the election other than a little bit this and that on Twitter. It's not the most... It's important, but in the long term, it's not the most important thing. We got to be mindful. We got to be ready, because the real fight is only just begun, and we're gonna have a lot of enemies. So, that's my take on it. There are some other things I was going to talk about, but I decided I'm going to keep that to myself for now. I don't think it's really appropriate for me to talk about some of those things in a open public video. These are things I need to kind of also think about myself and read about and discuss with my comrades and just really get a better feel. But I think the shift is going to have to come as, basically on Wednesday morning. The shift's going to have to start up, and we're going to have to start to get ready, because there's a lot to fight for. And I fear sometimes we forget that because we're in the zone of the election, as we should be, but it's easy to think, oh, once the election ends, it's over. So it's something I'm going to keep on harping on. Anyways, that's all my voice has got right now. So have a good night, and till next time.